Endorsed Donald Trump for president. Judges and two separate juries have found him liable for rape and for defaming the victim of that rape. How do you square your endorsement of Donald Trump with the testimony we just saw?
Well, I will tell you, I was raped at the age of 16. And any rape victim will tell you, I've lived for 30 years with an incredible amount of shame over being raped. It's a shame that you will never feel, George. And I'm not going to sit here on your show and be asked a question meant to shame me about another potential rape victim. I'm not going to do that.
It's actually not about shaming you. It's a question about Donald Trump.
No, you are shaming me.
You've endorsed Donald Trump for president.
Right.
Donald Trump has been found liable for rape by a jury.
Not a good look for GMA George, who makes a living appealing to an almost exclusively female suburban audience, by the way. And Stephanopoulos actually lies twice there. Trump was not found liable for rape, which he said 2 times. George could find himself at the center of a lawsuit for slander for that statement. Wouldn't that be entertaining? The jury rejected E. Jean Carroll's rape allegation. He knows that. And found Trump liable for a much lesser degree of sexual abuse from a sex-obsessed woman who thinks rape is sexy, can't remember the year that she was raped, and has been laughing and bragging about her lawsuit for the past couple of months, including going on television. When Stephanopoulos' former boss, Bill Clinton, was accused of rape in the early 1990s by Juanita Broaddrick and accused of sexual assault by Paula Jones in 1994, Stephanopoulos was much different on the subject. He did everything in his power to discredit those allegations, dismissing Clinton's accusers as bimbos, he called them, multiple times in his 1999 book, All Too Human. All right, South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace joins us now to talk about this. And it's good to have you on. Quite a moment on Sunday between you and one of the fiercest defenders of former President Bill Clinton.
That's right. It was an outrageous moment this weekend or yesterday with George Stephanopoulos trying to bully me and shame me as a survivor of rape over my support for Donald Trump, and I thought it was disgusting.
You know, it's interesting because Clinton's accusers are all bimbos, according to his book, but not E. Jean Carroll, who, you know, has so many problems with the story that she alleges. Not even a jury bought the rape allegation, a civil jury, I should say. There's never been criminal charges around this. You have a woman that's, you know, spent her entire life writing about sex. She says she invited the former president into a dressing room with her. She can't remember the year, let alone the month of her alleged rape, and has said that rape is sexy. And that, to George Stephanopoulos, is all very credible. But the claims against Joe Biden, against Bill Clinton when he worked for Bill Clinton, he either doesn't cover those or he admonishes them.
Right, and it made me feel, walking off the set yesterday, that, you know, rape is bad unless you're a Republican, and a conservative Republican at that. And then in this case, the gloves are off and you should be bullied and be shamed. But the other thing that I didn't like about the E. Jean Carroll situation, I want to be real sensitive to any woman that has ever been sexually assaulted, ever been raped. I am a survivor, and I know how incredibly difficult that journey is. But the other thing is that she mocked rape. She made fun of it. When she talked about the judgment she was getting, she joked about it live on national TV, talking about all the things she was going to buy. Well, I'm a victim. Rape is serious. Rape is not a joke. Rape is not funny. And it shouldn't be laughed about in front of other people, because it makes it so much harder for victims to come forward and tell their stories because of the way that they're judged, the way that rape can be mocked by others. Like, it just makes it so much more difficult for us to tell our stories. And I got to tell you, it was really painful for me because George Stephanopoulos, he has not been in this journey. He doesn't know about the shame of being raped. And I was raped 30 years ago at the age of 16 by a high school classmate of mine. And so when he showed that video, when he went off the rails yesterday, showing this video, this speech, this impassioned speech that I had the courage to tell about my story of being raped, you could see me wince in that interview. Like, it was painful for me. And I just cannot believe it even today that he led with this. I didn't go on to talk about my rape, but that's what he led with for 7 out of 10 minutes yesterday. It was disgusting.
I couldn't believe he had the guts to do it after the things that he's said in defense of Bill Clinton, to actually make that move, especially with a case like this that, you know, again, we don't know what happened. Trump says he never met the woman, but let's say that they did. I mean, she said that she
not convicted
invited
of rape.
him.
That's not what it was about. He was not convicted of rape. And the
Right.
judgment, the civil judgment, was not about rape either. And I made that point twice on the show yesterday in Stephanopoulos just tonight. I think Stephanopoulos opened himself and ABC News up to a massive lawsuit, and I hope the president sues him.
Yeah, I could see that coming. I mean, it was slanderous comments. He made it twice, and I think that the point of all of this is this guy's been a host at ABC News for more than 25 years, but he still at his core is a political actor. That's what he is, and he has spent the last 25 years working to indoctrinate all the housewives and their kids that watch Good Morning America every day. I mean, if you see the slant that ABC News now has. I mean, it's just one more establishment network in this country that just leans left heavy, and everything that he does has a political, I mean, and this, I think, is the biggest proof yet that he just thinks E. Jean Carroll's outrageous lawsuit that comes after no criminal charges. You have a jury that couldn't even verify rape in the claim. And then she gets $80 million. Stephanopoulos looks at this and says, oh, this makes perfect sense to me.
Right, and then she jokes about it. The thing that gets me is that ABC News is run by a woman, Kimberly Godwin. What do the women at ABC News think about a male host going after a rape victim and bullying me in this way yesterday? And I hope that every suburban mom, every suburban woman watching that yesterday is as offended as I was as a survivor of rape. I thought the whole thing was outrageous. I think he should apologize. Heck, I would even take his resignation today because it was a disgusting display of misogyny on ABC News.
Yeah, but on their side, they're allowed to do that. And they're allowed to call rape victims bimbos, and they're allowed to say a lot of things that wouldn't work out so well for people that are politically conservative. That's the sad truth. Congresswoman, good to have you on as always. Thank you so much.
Thank you.